Euromaxx highlights. And here's your host, Louise Houghton.
A warm welcome to the show today, which starts off with a visit to the British capital. Here's what's coming up in the next half an hour. Trendy, why gin is the #1 summer tipple in London. Traditional, the colourful world of Swiss wrestling. And stylish, why white dinners are a hit the world over. Gin used to be known as mother's ruin for the devastating effects it had on society in 18th century London. Later on, it was a favourite for grannies, but today, thanks to a crop of aromatic new concoctions, gin is back in town as the spirit of choice. Traditionally, it's infused with juniper berries, but new micro-distilleries are now introducing all kinds of flavours, and they seem to be a big hit.
Gin in every imaginable variety. The Graphic Bar in London's trendy Soho district is said to have the world's largest selection. There are more than 200 types.
Gin is a massive thing right now. People are looking for other things other than vodka. You know, gin is a flavoured vodka, and people just are looking for something a bit more versatile. You know, more flavours out there rather than a neutral spirit.
Just about every week, another new type of gin goes on the market in Britain. Gin is booming here, in large part thanks to the work of many micro-distilleries that put out just a few thousand bottles a year. One of the more unusual is the Sacred Micro-Distillery, located in a private North London residence. It was launched 5 years ago by Ian Hart, a former headhunter. He started distilling gin in his own living room, and he's still doing it today. But unlike traditional distilleries, Hart uses a vacuum process. That's why it looks like a chemistry lab.
People are a little bit jaundiced, if that's the right word, with the huge mega corporations who control everything that they eat and everything that they drink. And to find something which is artisanal and actually produced, in my case, in our own house, is a refreshing change.
This setup produced 18,000 bottles of gin last year. This year, he's planning for 25,000. His customers now include Fortnum & Mason, the exclusive London department store, and the Tate Gallery of Modern Art. Hart's trove of treasures, so to speak, is in his back garden.
So this is the shed where we store all of our botanicals. So here we have sacks of gentian and orris.
Unlike the traditional manufacturing process, Hart distills all of the components separately and mixes them at the end.
That also enables us to change the recipe. So, for example, for the Tate, they have their own particular blend, and because we have our distillates stored separately in the first place, that enables us to offer the Tate the ability to blend their own personalised gin.
That limited edition gin is being served this summer. The Tate Modern has set up a designer open-air bar featuring drinks made from its special blend. The cocktail is a work of art, you could say. Daniel Nokia runs a blog devoted to gin. For the London-based writer, high culture and strong spirits are a natural combination.
Gin, at its heart, has always been a creative spirit. I think its roots are embedded in creativity in that it's always experimented with different botanicals. Art is the similar thing in that people bring different experiences and they bring those different things together to create what is symbolic of society, a mirror towards society of what people are feeling. And I think it's the same thing with gin today.
But in the earliest years of its long history, gin had very little to do with art. On the contrary, as we learn at the Ginstitute, a small gin museum based in London's Notting Hill. Jake Berger worked as a bartender for 25 years. He's an expert on the history of gin. For much of its past, gin drinking was anything but a convivial pastime. Instead, it was a rather dispiriting affair, as these old illustrations show. For much of the 17th and 18th centuries, gin was cheaper than beer. So the poor especially consumed it in great quantities.
It really was an epidemic. Any given time of day or night, as many as 1 in 4 Londoners was incapacitated through gin consumption, leading to a breakdown in the structure of society, a breakdown in the family, huge increases in crime, certain areas of the city becoming virtual no-go areas. And at this time, still very much the preserve of the peasant classes, the poor inner city dwellers.
In the 20th century, gin managed to become a respectable drink. Gin cocktails were especially popular in the 20s and 30s. But by the 1960s, vodka was ascendant and gin languished. But the rebirth of the classic cocktail means that gin is once again in. Twice a month, the Graphic Bar even hosts an event called the Juniper Club.
Now on your table in a little champagne glass, I put some juniper berries.
Much like a wine tasting, the participants learn to distinguish between the different flavour notes and botanicals.
There are ones that are more floral, ones that are more citrusy, ones that are more a little bit spicy.
When you mix it with tonic, it doesn't seem like a heavy alcoholic drink.
You have no idea that there's so many different flavours and textures and botanicals and everything. It's just really nice.
The cocktail connoisseurs agree. The golden age of gin has only just begun.
Well, in the same way as London is now known for its gin, Switzerland is known for its cheese fondue, alpine landscapes and even its watches. But it's not widely known for its national sport. However, the classical duel is called Schwingen and has been around for 700 years. And the events are always held with a strong sense of tradition.
This is the Schwegalp Peak in eastern Switzerland. A sporting event is taking place in a sold-out arena at the foot of the mountain. The wrestlers are the center of attention. This is one of Switzerland's most popular sporting events, the Schwegalp Schwinget. Tens of thousands of spectators have traveled here from far and wide.
The wrestling festival's a tradition. Everyone's having fun. It's very nice.
I come from Sweden, and we have a group of friends who try to do traditional Swiss things.
What's interesting are things like the different types of music, the traditional aspect, and of course the wrestling.
I'm from Argentine. I like the first Switzerland. It's great.
Schwingen is also known as Swiss wrestling. The winner is the competitor who's able to pin his opponent's back to the floor. About 90 wrestlers are competing for the crown in this year's Schwegalp Festival. The highest honor a wrestler can attain is the title King of Schwingen, which is awarded every 3 years. Arnold Forer was King of Schwingen in 2001. He's considered a favorite to take the crown here in Schwegalp, as he's won it 3 times already. Forer began wrestling at the age of 9. The 34-year-old cheesemaker is a small celebrity in his own right.
Clearly this is a home match. I live just a quarter of an hour's drive from here. I'd like to win today. It would boost my self-confidence for the championships.
A Swiss wrestling competition is also a community gathering, complete with traditional dress and rituals. The festivals are big occasions that no self-respecting politician would dream of missing.
I've been coming here for 20 or 30 years. It's a piece of Swiss culture. It's not just a sport, it's a tradition. And it's one of our Swiss values.
Schwingen can look back on over 700 years of history. The oldest known depiction of Swiss wrestling dates from the 13th century and can be seen in Lausanne Cathedral. In the 19th century, it developed into a very popular sport. Thanks to growing media interest, Schwingen has developed an even bigger fan base in the last decade. Thomas Ringley has researched the sport extensively and can explain why it's so popular.
In the world of globalized sport, traditional and down-to-earth forms of sport are gaining in appreciation. Soccer players in the Champions League earn millions. But it's a different matter in Schwingen. After winning on Sunday, the champions have to get up at 6 o'clock on Monday morning and go to work, as a butcher, a carpenter or a chauffeur. Schwingen is a matter of honor.
In the meantime, Arnold Forer is competing in the final against a fellow team member. The outcome is decided by a maneuver known as the Überwurf. Forer becomes Schwegalp champion for the 4th time in his career. In a few weeks, he'll go on to compete in the championships to decide who will be king of Schwingen. Schwingen, a Swiss sport with a long tradition and one that's on its way to becoming more popular than ever.
Well, another event that's become an annual tradition is a white dinner. As the name suggests, everything at this evening occasion has to be white, even the food. The first one was held in Paris 25 years ago, and it has since caught on all around the world. Now, whilst you might look a bit lost wearing white in our studio here, the mandatory colour recently lit up a large portion of Hamburg Harbour.
There's only one rule at this party. It has to be white. In Hamburg, 6,500 people have turned the port area into a banqueting hall.
It's great. As soon as someone takes out a handkerchief and waves it, everyone else does the same. The mood is so relaxed.
Everyone's having fun and enjoying themselves. You can ask at other tables what they're eating and usually taste it. And soon you're talking to people.
I'm here for the first time and it's great.
Muffins for the party must have white decorations. Mere Thomsen's in her kitchen. It's her 4th dinner in white.
I'm a perfectionist, and I think it's fantastic to carry this out to its proper conclusion. I've spent weeks, sometimes even months, preparing for these events and thinking about what to do to make them special.
Together with her friend Anya, she's preparing her white meal. One dish, Asian rice paper rolls. Colorful inside, white on the outside. It's also a good opportunity to dress up, and her friends profit from her collection of accessories.
I had this outfit on last year, and you never wear the same thing twice. So this week I shopped for some new stuff.
Hours before the dinner, participants flock to the waterside promenade. This is the 4th dinner in white in Hamburg, each time at a different venue. From the start, Manon Dunkel has organized and registered the event with the authorities. This year she had to fight for a good venue. She announces over the internet when and where dinner will be held.
I'm often asked if I belong to a sect or have political aims. Many people say I'm stupid because I don't want to commercialize it. I've already rejected a lot of money offers, so I'm not doing this for commercial reasons at all. I once supervised a neighborhood project and got people together for a good cause, and that left a big impression on me.
The dinner in white is a statement, a clear statement on popularizing and democratizing sophisticated dining.
In gourmet cuisine, rituals play a role in presenting extraordinary dishes. It's a sign that the customer is virtually king. But there are rituals in more ordinary meals like picnics and barbecues. Scholarly studies have actually shown that the greater the anticipation, the greater the enjoyment. Drinking customs have developed through history.
I find the ritual of raising a glass in a toast one of the loveliest. It comes from the Middle Ages, when the knights held their wine goblets in the same hand they used for their swords or lances in battle. At the dining table, they'd leave themselves vulnerable to show they meant no harm and wanted to celebrate together as friends.
At the White Dinner in Hamburg, people celebrated together till late at night. The white dress code provides an additional bond.
This is really a lovely event, and everyone here is obviously having a great time.
The event comes to an end with a small-scale fireworks display. Participants light sparklers to celebrate a dinner that turns strangers into friends.
Now, whenever you visit somewhere new, it's always nice to bring back a souvenir. And in the majority of cities around Europe, you can always find a nice painting of the skyline in local gift shops. The only problem with these works of art is getting them home in one piece. However, one painter in Istanbul, Turkey, has made his souvenir paintings very easy to carry. And that's because they're seldom larger than my thumbnail. Mind you, in this case, it seems that the smaller the painting, the larger the price tag.
The Galata Tower in the heart of Istanbul's Beyoğlu district, painted on tagliatelle. The Golden Horn of the Bosphorus on a thumbtack. Kis Kalesi, the Maiden's Tower, fits on the head of a matchstick. No surface is too small for Turkish artist Hasan Kale.
These are objects from daily life that people hardly ever think about. We don't pay much attention to them. Through my art, I want to stress how nice these things can be. I deliberately choose difficult objects, though how small they are or how well they absorb paint is not so important. What is important is that they come to life and bring joy to people.
Hasan Kale's favorite motif is his home city of Istanbul, seen here on a sugar cube. While his subjects remain the same, his canvases are always changing.
Istanbul has a very mystical appearance. It's a city that never sleeps. You can experience something different with every passing minute. People who love Istanbul love it passionately. You could live here for centuries and never really know this city.
When he's searching for inspiration, Hasan Kale goes to the place where the modern and traditional Istanbul meet. The Galata Bridge. It connects the trendy Beyoğlu and old traditional Fatih districts. The tower on the opposite side is Kale's favorite subject.
The Galata Tower is part of me. I see it every day on the way to work. When I find the time, every few days, I go to the tower and have a coffee. It's ingrained in my memory. It's a part of me.
It's mainly old Istanbul that Hasan Kale wants to immortalize in his paintings. The former Hagia Sophia Mosque in the Fatih district is one such place. Originally a cathedral, it's now a museum.
You can't describe it in words. This building brings different cultures and religions together. It's more than 1,500 years old, and today it's one of the city's most visited sites. By painting motifs like these, I hope to show people the beauty of Istanbul.
Kale reproduces this beauty at home from memory. The artist holds his breath to keep his hand steady. It can take up to 3 days to complete a picture. Just one wrong brushstroke and the work is ruined. This piece is just half a centimeter long and costs some 4,000 euros. The Hagia Sophia on a bean.
It's just the greatest when a visitor to Istanbul looks at my pictures, no matter how small, and recognizes Topkapi Palace, the Maiden's Tower, Hagia Sophia, or the Galata Tower. That's why it's hard for me to draw any other city.
But
Kale does paint other things. Like Kemal Ataturk, the founder of modern Turkey, seen here on a grain of rice. Still, Hasan Kale never tires of depicting Istanbul, whether on a watermelon seed or a coffee bean.
To finish the show today, we're taking a look at the growing number of women in the gaming industry. In fact, nearly 50% of gamers in Germany are female, and many of them have flocked to the Gamescom exhibition in Cologne this last week. Female developers are also on the increase, and that will encourage women to play video games all the more, because after all, women know what women want.
Damsels in distress, waiting to be saved by heroic knights in armor. Or curvaceous heroines. Female characters that also appeal to women are seldom found in most computer games. Game designer Cornelia Geppert and her team are trying to change that. Her Berlin company Euromaxx Games works to develop normal characters with normal figures who wear everyday clothing.
It came about because we have a lot of women in our company and we didn't want to serve up the typical cliches. But we also don't want to be too extreme and only show really muscular women or something like that. We want normal people.
The characters are part of the browser game Brave Little Beasties. The game has been online only for about a month, but it's already a hit among female players. Women are making their mark in gaming. Around half the 25 million gamers in Germany are female, and they're most attracted to social network games. Games Makeup, a Berlin-based internet portal, is also hoping to get more girls into game design. Right now, only about 20% of game developers are women. In Berlin's Games Academy, male design students are getting more female competition, but the numbers are modest. In 2012, only about a fifth of the school's new students were female. The school hopes that a new generation of women will change that.
We could do away with a lot of cliches. People think it's a man's world, but that's changing, and I think society is more accepting. More and more women are playing games, and there's an entire generation of women who are discovering that developing games is an interesting job, and not just something for geeks.
The student's latest game, Yours Truly, concentrates on emotion instead of gameplay.
Recently, there have been a bunch of games that feature more emotional depth, but we still think there are too few of them. That's why we decided to make a game where players can better experience the emotions of the game's events.
Europe's leading social game developer, Wooga, long ago realized that women are an essential part of the gaming puzzle. Nancy Vutka developed Diamond Dash, a worldwide hit.
When you think about how 1 million people play your game each day, it's like, wow, it's kind of cool.
About 1/3 of Wooga's 280 employees are female. Charlotte Vorbeck is a developer at Wooga. As a female programmer, she's still relatively rare. She feels she has a special contribution to make to the firm.
Personally, I like to see the big picture and not just focus on my technical area and make sure my code is clean. I want to make sure my work fits into the larger context and has a positive effect.
Dass der Zusammenhang meiner Arbeit irgendwie sinnvoll ist und irgendwie was Gutes bringt.
Wooga's digital worlds are cute and there's no violence. But Cornelia Geppert from Euromaxx Games doesn't want to miss out on the action.
I'm a gamer, and I really like fighting games and jump and runs. I also play Farmville.
The little monsters in Brave Little Beasties have to be fed and taken care of, but they can also fight. For Cornelia Geppert, it's an important mix.
We have statistics for both monster breeders and fighters, and we can see that the top breeders tend to be female and the top fighters are male. But both groups like to play the game.
Women have already shaken up the game industry. Thanks to them, the future of gaming and character design will be more diverse.
And that is all we have time for today, but do join us again tomorrow for a brand new week of lifestyle news around Europe. For now, though, from all of us here, goodbye, ciao, and as we say in Germany, tschüss.